What is up, YouTube? This is a brand new series in which we will be rating games in a franchise from worst to best. Pretty self-explanatory. With the recent announcement of Super Mario Odyssey, a game that I am so hyped for, and I am planning to do a video on my theory about the game and I guess the where and when it takes place, but in light of that, we are going to look at all the Super Mario titles. So these are main titles, so they have to be a 2D or a 3D platformer, no spin-offs, no like Super Mario 64 DS. They have to be a main entry in the series, so we're counting handhelds here as well. And this is also a matter of my opinion, so feel free to let me know in the comments below, if you think otherwise. Everything's open for discussion, nothing's set in stone, but this is my matter of opinion on the Super Mario franchise, so here we go. Now, coming in at number 17, we have New Super Mario Bros. 2. That's my overall reaction on the game. I think it was a large, bland rehash of New Super Mario Bros. Wii, and while it's still a classic Mario platformer, there's a lot of emphasis on coin collecting when there's no actual payout. I mean, it feels a little rewarding to collect all these coins, but the game is so two-dimensional, pun not intended, and there's no reward to actually collecting all these coins, and not to mention it's a very easy game. Not one of my favorites, so we're putting it at the bottom of the list. Number 16, New Super Mario Bros. So the game before New Super Mario Bros. 2, which came out for the DS originally. It was a fun idea when it came out. It was clearly a tribute to everything that we've loved about 2D Mario platformers and, the Super Mario Bros. Franchise that started all of it. But the game lacked in depth, and I think that they really got things right, and they improved on the formula when they started doing like New Super Mario Bros. Wii and New Super Mario Bros. U, so it did get better, and those games are coming up, but that one clocks in at number 16. 15, Super Mario Bros. The Lost Levels, which originally in Japan was known as Super Mario Bros. 2, but they felt the game was too hard for US gamers. Don't quote me on that, but I'm pretty sure that's what the reason was. I'll do some fact checking after this, but they're right. It's a hard game, but don't get me wrong, it's not a bad game. It's hard as shit. Not that affects the placement of it, but it didn't take any chances. It didn't do anything new, but it does go down as probably the hardest Mario game of all time. Number 14, Super Mario Land, the first main handheld title, which was both familiar and new at the same time. It added some good diversity with those flying spaceship, and I think there was an underwater submarine level. There were a lot of new enemies and bosses, which were kind of odd, and I'll tell you why. So, Super Mario Land was actually not a product of Shigeru Miyamoto. It was clearly out of his hands, so that's why there's so many strange atmospheres in the game and different enemies and bosses aside from Goombas and Koopa Troopas. It's pretty much the black sheep, if I had to call it or label it. It's the black sheep of the bunch, but it's still a fun game. Number 13, New Super Mario Bros. Wii. Now, this game, personally, I think is very underrated. I got a lot of playability out of this game. It was a lot of fun, especially the 4-player multiplayer, and using a Wiimote sideways was pretty bearable, and the multiplayer was a little hectic, but it was fun. It was a fun game. There's some good level design, some new power-ups. I think New Super Mario Bros. Wii gets a worse rap than it deserves, but it comes in at number 13 because it's thoroughly enjoyable by yourself or with friends. Number 12. New Super Mario Bros. U. Also a very underrated game, mainly because of the Wii U's terrible launch and entire life. We know, the Wii U was garbage. However, New Super Mario Bros. U has some nice visuals and fun level designs, but it doesn't really push the limits. Aside from a couple new mechanics and some power-ups, it was a safe play on Nintendo's part to get it out in time for the Wii U's launch. It's a lot of fun, and there's also a pretty nice difficulty for seasoned platformers like myself. I'm a platform vet, and I've loved platformers for a long time, and new Super Mario Bros. U definitely puts up a challenge. Number 11, the original Super Mario Bros. The OG of all OGs, and there really isn't much that needs to be said here. I mean, if you've never played the original Super Mario Bros., then you're not a citizen of Earth. Number 10, Super Mario 3D World, the successor to the 3DS's Super Mario 3D Land, which introduced multiplayer, which, by the way, is fun as shit, and some new power-ups, specifically a cat. Cat Mario. It's a fun game, there's some new level designs, it looks and feels great to play on the Wii U because not many games do. In fact, I think there's a total of 11 games on the Wii U, but it doesn't say much about it, but definitely a fun game. Introduces some great multiplayer to the 3D World Land franchise. If you haven't played it, I recommend it. It's fun. Number 9, Super Mario Land 2, 6 Golden Coins, which also happens to be Wario's first appearance. Wow. The visuals are infinitely better and definitely kicks the shit out of the original Super Mario Land's visuals, and there's more weird enemies and some cool power-ups, but overall it's worlds, pun not intended, better than the original Super Mario Land. Number 8, Super Mario Bros. 2, the US version, because the original Super Mario Bros. 2, as I said earlier in the video, was the lost levels, which Nintendo felt like would be way too difficult for the US, and they were right. And the the US version of Super Mario Bros. 2 was actually a game originally called Doki Doki Panic, and was not a Mario game at all. However, they gave it a Mario skin, and it ended up becoming a Mario game at release. And honestly, Super Mario Bros. 2 I like way more than Lost Levels. It tries something new. It is the first game that lets you pick more than one character, not including being Luigi as player 2, but you can pick between Toad and Peach and Mario and Luigi, and each one of them have their own abilities. So it was a step up, and introducing other characters. Peach is basically a hack. Number 7, Super Mario 3D Land. A really good hybrid between 2D and 3D, and the game actually makes very good use of the handheld's 3D peripherals without it feeling like it's forced. Like a lot of Wii games, forced you to use motion controls and they were horrible. I think Super Mario 3D Land makes great use of the 3D, and it doesn't feel like it's forced at any point. There's some great gyroscope things that you have to do to look through binoculars and find coins, and the game has a lot of replayability, and it was very fresh when it came out. There's some good level design, there's some good depth, and it's a good game. Number 6, Super Mario Sunshine. Almost made it to the top 5, but it just got beat out. And while this game really is a mixed bag between people who have played it, some people love it, some people don't. Personally, I loved Super Mario Sunshine, and while it's not the best game ever, it has a lot of fun levels and new mechanics, and it's a great game. It's a different take on the Mario franchise, and Shadow Mario is a great villain. I really liked him with his paintbrush, even though it turned out to be Bowser Jr. Sorry for the spoilers. If you haven't played it, shame on you. You should have played this game already. But apparently, the GameCube was the console to give Mario and Luigi things to wear on their back. Alright, here we go. Top 5. Number 5, Super Mario Galaxy 2. Now, how do you take the masterpiece that is Super Mario Galaxy and create a sequel? Well, that's actually pretty easy because Nintendo already did it. Super Mario Galaxy 1 and 2, excuse me, respectively, scored perfect 10s across the board, I think, but I'm pretty sure IGN gave them both 10s, which is something that's pretty rare for a Nintendo game because, let's be realistic here, you can't spell ignorant without IGN. Not to mention Galaxy 2 brought on Yoshi, and it expanded on some familiar mechanics with some cool new things, and Yoshi. Number 4, Super Mario Bros. 3, and it also happens to be the first video game I've ever played. Now, we're currently in the legendary tier for Mario games, and Super Mario Bros. 3 Donald Trumps every 8-bit Mario game on the NES. with the world diversity, the power-ups, everything about this game puts it at number 4. Not to mention the storyline, which is actually, it's a nice, cute little twist that it turns out to just be a stage play. Number 3, Super Mario World. Now, as someone who highly prefers Super Mario Brothers 3 over Super Mario World, I had to kind of concede on this one and place it above Super Mario Brothers 3 because for a couple reasons. This is Yoshi's first appearance. There's a ton of memorable levels and power-ups. The music is great in this game. It is the epitome of classic Mario. Not to mention that there's so many secret exits in the game. You could get lost for hours trying to 100% Super Mario World. A well-deserved spot at number 3 and definitely a place that I've put a lot of my hours as a kid. Number 2, Super Mario 64. Here we go. The game that truly, truly showed off that Mario is the king of platformers and the emperor of gaming. Super Mario 64 was the perfect transition from 2D to 3D, and it stands personally, and it's also probably a fact that it's one of the most important games in video game history. The game still holds up by today's standards, and everything about the game is perfect. From multiple levels to different star missions to aiming for those 120 stars just so you can shoot to the top of the roof of the castle and see Yoshi in 3D. Fun fact, I actually microwaved my copy of Super Mario 64 when I was a kid because I couldn't get the 120th star. Fuck you, Rainbow Cruise, and collecting all the coins. I hate you. Yes, I understand that I'm a bad person. Number 1. Super Mario Galaxy. Now, Galaxy took 3D Mario to a completely new level. It took the 3D mechanics and it put them on a spherical planet, which actually felt completely natural when you were playing it. Not to mention the fully orchestrated soundtrack, which is probably one of my favorite video game soundtracks of all time. Also, you could replay the entire game again as Luigi after you collect every star. The game is just a masterpiece that rightfully deserves its spot at the top, and the creativity that went into creating Super Mario Galaxy is just astounding. It's astronomical. That pun was intended. As an added bonus, I kind of wanted to predict where I feel like Super Mario Odyssey is going to fall in the ranking of main Mario titles. I think it's gonna fall somewhere in between Galaxy 2 and Super Mario Brothers 3, so probably in the middle of that. I'm really excited about the game, and I want to talk about my theory on the game, but we're gonna save that for a separate video. So if you guys enjoyed this video, be sure to hit that thumbs up button, and also subscribe to my channel by hitting that sub button, and we'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.